guys, just let me turn down my Simpsons here. So today's gonna be a little bit different video. Today's video is going to be a little, I guess, exposure thing at the end, but it's basically about Ed Kemper. We're gonna be talking about the Kemper today. Okay, so I did some notes. As you can see, did a couple notes. Like, I know enough about Kemper, but like, I'm not really good at speaking, bleh, so my notes. I have a weird obsession with serial killers. I'll just throw that out there right now. So a lot of my videos may turn out to be like about them. They're literally the only thing that seems to stay inside of here for some reason. I'm not going to turn into a serial killer. Well, we don't know that for sure. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to. I don't like killing anything. No, I'm just joking. Except for my, like, food. That's about it. That was horrible. Let's just erase. I'm gonna cut that out. Okay, yeah. So, so basically, Ed Kemper, Edmund Kemper III, because his father was also Edmund Kemper, and his grandfather was also Edmund Kemper. It's a whole family thingy. But anyways, I guess we'll just go and do the first early life of his stage. So, Kemper was born in 1948 on December 18th. So he's actually 70 years old now, and he's going to be turning 71 on the 18th of December. So happy early birthday, Kemper. He's still alive, by the way. So about when Kemper's parents divorced in 1957, Ed wanted to live with his mother and his two sisters. Ed had a rough relationship with his mother. She was always drinking, she was really abusive, she was always really critical towards Ed, and he actually blames her for a lot of his problems and the troubles that he has. Sorry, not problems, I guess he has troubles. But anyways, when he was 10, she had this fear that he was going to either hurt his two sisters or herself. So what she made him do was sleep in the basement. It's a cold, dark, lonely basement when he was 10. 10. If my mother put me in a basement at 10 years old, I would die. I would die. There were some times where she would end up taking away his mattress and making him sleep on the floor. I'm just gonna, turn this so we can get out of the sun right here. Yeah. So basically, that was the start of everything right there, because the person you're supposed to feel safe around is basically secluding you to the basement by yourself when you've just hit double-digit numbers in your age. That's a little traumatizing and a little, that would really mess with my head. That would really mess with my head. But he ended up showing troubles in his early stage of life because his two first victims, unfortunately, my soul, if I had them with me, beside me right now, I have one. I'm gonna go grab them. So, unfortunately, his first two victims were his two family cats. Died. The one he buried alive, and then the second one he slaughtered with a knife. So, that, I don't know how I would feel about that one. Burying a cat alive and then slaughtering the other one with a knife. I just want to hug Milo and keep him safe to me for the rest of everything so no one else touches him because, like, my baby. But yes, okay, goodbye Milo, you can't go that way, go that way. Yes, so anyways, because of that, he was sent to live with his father for a little bit, but his father and him have an iffy relationship as well, so basically he ended up moving back in with his mother. And, I'm just gonna close the blinds. Sorry, Snow. Mind my bruised legs. Yeah, so basically, he ended up moving back in with his mother. She didn't want to keep him for very too long, so she sent the troubled teenager to live with his grandparents. So, the grandparents. His grandmother was, I don't know how to say this properly, Madu Matilda Kemper. And then his grandfather, as I said, is also Edmund Kemper. So, Kemper didn't get along with his grandparents. They lived out on a farm and they had a lot of strict rules, and Kemper being one that didn't live with them very much, just lived with criticism and isolation, I guess, didn't really like the whole new change, I guess. So he was really into guns and firearms, and he had a rifle at one point. But his grandmother ended up taking it away from him because he was killing a bunch of birds and a couple small animals. So he ended up getting into a very heated argument with his grandmother when he was about 15 years old, and that end result was him shooting her and killing her. During that time, his grandfather just got home and was walking up the driveway, and Kemper went out into the driveway and shot and killed his grandfather so he didn't have to see his murdered grandmother's body on the floor. So in a way, he did it so, like, he didn't have to see that. He felt sorry for his grandfather, but he also killed his grandmother to get a sense of what it feels like. His words, that's the reason why he killed his grandmother, was one, because he was pissed off, and two, he wanted to see what it feels like to kill somebody. And then he went out and killed his grandfather because he didn't want him to see what happened. So, crazy. But because of his crimes for killing his grandparents, he was sent to the California Youth Authority, which basically he went under a bunch of tests, and that is where they found out, wait for this, found out that he is literally a genius. Like, I mean, he's a literal genius. His IQ is 145. He's a genius. He's a genius. It's crazy. But he was also diagnosed with very paranoid schizophrenia as well. So, because of that, he was sent to, where is it? Kemper was, then sent to the, I can't pronounce that word, but basically it's a state hospital, a maximum security facility for mentally ill convicts. So because he had paranoid schizophrenia, they sent him to this place. And basically, he was there up until 1969 when they finally released Kemper at the age of 21. But the prison doctor didn't want Kemper going back with his mother because of the previous abuse history and the psychological impact it had on Kemper's mental health. Kemper didn't listen. Kemper went back to his mother, actually. He ended up going back to Santa Cruz, California, to live with her. She ended up moving to Santa Cruz after her third divorce to get a job at a university, I believe. I'm pretty sure it was a university. Yeah. So, this is the mothers. So, on April 20th, 1973, after coming home from a party, I guess I should give you a pre-warn now, and I will give you warning beforehand as well. It gets a little dark. So his mother, Chanel Elizabeth Strandberg, who was 52 at the time, in April 20th, 1973, came home from a party. She ended up going into her bedroom. I guess when she came in, her being drunk and loud woke up Kemper. So he walked into her bedroom and saw her sitting on her bed reading a book. So he didn't even say anything at this point yet. He was just standing there. And all she did was look at him and said, "So what? I suppose you're going to want to stay up and talk all night then?" To which Kemper responded, "No, good night," and left. And then he waited for her to fall asleep so that he could go back into her room and beat her with a claw hammer and then proceeded to slit her throat with a knife. So this is the part where it starts to get really cringy. So honestly, if you don't feel comfortable listening further in on this or listening to the details, or if you just want to skip a little part of the video until this description is done, I don't blame you guys. Honestly, it's a little much. It is. Anyways, continuing on with it. I gave you a warning. If you're still listening, I'm sorry. I'm very, very sorry, and I will be with you through this entire process. We will do this together. Okay. So, he then proceeded to decapitate her and engage in Irrumatio. That's a new word I learned today as well. And irrumatio with her severed head. So basically, irrumatio is, I'm going to explain this to you right now so you don't have to go back and forth and looking it up on Urban Dictionary or Google or whatever. But I warned you guys, okay? I warned you. So basically, what he did was he decapitated her head and then proceeded to fuck her mouth with his dick. That was a thing. That was an actual thing. And then after that, I guess he decided to pick up her head, put it on a shelf, and then proceeded to yell and scream at it for an hour. A total solid hour. Which then he, when he was done yelling at this severed head, decided to use it as a dartboard and then proceeded to smash in her face. Like, it was smashed. Then, I'm sorry guys, I am so sorry. This is so gross. He proceeds to cut out her tongue and her larynx, which is also the voice box. So basically he cuts out her tongue and her voice box and then proceeds to throw them down the garbage disposal. But the garbage disposal isn't strong enough to cut her very tough vocal cords, so it ends up ejecting the vocal cord gunk out of it and onto the sink. Which Kemper then states that seemed appropriate because as much as she bitched and screamed and yelled at me over the years. So her vocal cords being strong enough, like too tough for the garbage disposal and coming back up seemed appropriate to him because she wouldn't shut up, apparently, is basically what he was saying. It's yeah. So if you just entered back, welcome back. So passing all of that, he then proceeded to hide her body in the closet and then left to go to a local bar for a couple drinks. Like, I don't know how how are you able to just go to a bar and have a beer when your mother's body is hiding in your closet? I don't understand. But anyways, on his way home, he ended up getting this bright idea to call over his mother's best friend, Sally. Sorry, I can't remember her name. Yeah. Anyways, her best friend, Sally, who was 59 at the time, over for dinner and a movie. She agreed, and when she got there, literally the moment she got there, Kemper strangled her to death. And then also hid her body in a closet, and then left a note for the police. He basically ended up, I have what the note says as well, but he also killed Sally and hid her in the closet with his mother so he could create a cover story to say they went on holidays together, which is why both of them were missing. Anyways, so he ended up writing a note for the police and left it on the door. And this note said, air quote, approximately 5:15 a.m. Saturday. No need for her to suffer anymore at the hands of this horrible, murderous butcher. It was quick, asleep, the way I wanted it. Not sloppy and incomplete, gents. Just a lack of time. I've got things to do. Ending quote. Or closing quote, I guess. That, yeah. He's got things to do, guys. He's got things to do. Yeah, so anyways, Kemper ended up fleeing the scene and drove nonstop to Pueblo, Colorado. Pueblo, if I'm saying that right. He ended up driving to Colorado, which he ended up, since it was nonstop, that's over 1,000 mile drive. Like, that's over 1,000 mile drive. That's a really long drive. So basically, to stay awake the entire time, he just kept taking caffeine pills. So he ended up having a bunch of firearms and ammunition in the car with him because he was believed that he was being searched for a manhunt. So when he realized that he didn't hear anything about his mother or Sally's death on the radio, he called the police to turn himself in on his own. But get this, when he said, "Hey, I killed my mother and I confessed to the murders of my mother and Sally," the police didn't take his call seriously and told him to call back at another time. Like, I'm literally calling you to tell you I've committed murders, and you're saying, "Oh, that's okay. It's cool. Just call me back later. Like, I'm a little busy right now. Like, I'm sorry." What? So instead of running away, Kemper waited several more hours before he went back to the phone booth and called the police again, but this time requesting to speak to someone he personally knew himself, which then he confessed to the murders again. So while when he hung up, he actually waited for the police to come to Colorado to come pick him up. And when he got picked up, he confessed to the other 6 murders of college students. He's committed about 9 or 10 total murders in his life. 2 of them his grandparents, which we already know of. So he has also killed 6 other college students. Marianne Pesky, Anita Lachessa, Akioku, Cindy Skull, Rosalind Thierup, Alice Liu, Charnel, his mom, Sally Hallett, and then his 2 grandparents. So that's a total of 10 people from the 9 years he was killing anyone. From basically 1964 to 1973 was the time span that he picked up and murdered these people. The 6 college students was because he ended up injuring his arm and couldn't work. So he was bored, and I guess that's when he noticed all the girls that used to hitchhike all the time. Because back in the 60s, hitchhiking was just a normal thing. No one thought, like, hey, if I get into this car, this person's going to kill me. It was, hey, man, thanks for giving me this ride. I really appreciate this. Do you want a hit of my joint? Like, it's the 60s. Come on. So basically, for the first little bit, Kemper didn't kill anybody. He would pick them up, and he would drop them off. But that's when he met Marianne and Anita. Those were his 2 first hitchhiker victims who never reached their destinations. And that's when it continued on with the other college students he would see hitchhiking around the area. But when he got picked up and he confessed to those college students, when the police asked him, like, why he turned himself in, his response was this, opening quote, "The original purpose was gone. It wasn't serving any physical or real or emotional purpose. It was just a pure waste of time. Emotionally, I couldn't handle it much longer. Toward the end there, I started feeling the folly of the whole damn thing. And at that point of near exhaustion, near collapse, I just said to hell with it and called it off." And that's what he told the cops. He just wasn't feeling it anymore. The purpose of it was gone. But all in all, Kemper is also, he's somewhat sweet. He's really sweet. He is sweet. It is. Like, I'm not taking these facts from the TV show on Mindhunter. This is actual facts. Okay. But if you do watch Mindhunter is a really good show on Netflix, and it's actually side thingy here. It's these 2 guys who go over and they talk to a bunch of serial killers and try to get into their head to better understand them, to stop future killers once you can understand the steps that, start showing. Like, if people knew that, like, hey, Kemper's killing my cats, then maybe we could have done something about this. Or, like, hey, his mother's locking him in the basement. Maybe that could cause some psychological, mess-ups or something. Let's do something about this. So anyways, in the show, they talk to Manson, so, like, definitely check it out. But they also talk to Kemper. It's obviously an actor replaying Kemper. They're not going to have Kemper in a TV show. But he looks and sounds and portrays him perfectly. And Kemper, when you talk to Kemper, I've never spoken to Kemper myself, so, like, personally, I don't know this. But from interviews seen from Kemper, if you talk to him, he's very relaxed. He's very calm in his speak. He's very soft. He's a very soft dude. Me personally, he looks like a gigantic teddy bear. Honestly, if I saw him walking down the street, I wouldn't have thought twice about him. He's huge. He's a huge dude. That would have terrified me more than just anything, him speaking to me. This dude is 6'9" and weighs 300 pounds. He is a massive man. Massive man. But it's the same thing with Ted Bundy. No one suspected Ted Bundy because he was super sweet and super sly. It's the same with this guy. This guy didn't pick up females because of his appearance, though. There was one time he, before killing someone, he accidentally touched their breast. And he apologized to them before killing them 2 minutes later. But he's like, hey, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to touch you there. I just wanted to do this instead. It's weird. I don't know. I don't know how to think about it in the end about that. But it was weird. But basically, the co-ed killing name he got was because during the time span of him killing all of the college girls, there was also 2 other murderers in the area at the exact same time. So when they realized that there was 3 people killing people in the area of Santa Monica, Santa Clara, or Santa Cruz, I'm gonna cut that out, Santa Cruz. Yes, the press nicknamed Santa Cruz the murder capital of the world, which in turn gave Kemper the name co-ed killer because he was helping doing the whole massive murders. Separate murders altogether. No, these guys were not on a team together. It was just 3 different people who were just like, I feel like killing people today. Messed up. Anyways. Yeah, so he actually went to trial for his crimes in October, it's my birthday month, October 1973, and was found guilty of all charges in early November. He was sentenced to receive 8 concurrent life sentences in the California medical facility in Batchill, which is where he still is. And I actually have his cell number, not his cell phone number, like his cell block number, the mailing address. Like, I have his mailing address, and I think I'm going to send a letter to Ed Kemper and see if I get a response. Because if I do, that would honestly be awesome. And 2, I don't know, I guess, see if he just actually answers me. But I want to ask him why he doesn't want to leave. He's gotten many bail hearings, but he's just waved them off because he just doesn't want to leave. He's comfortable where he is. He likes being in jail, and he doesn't want to leave. When he was convicted, the judge asked him, what do you think your sentence should be? And he responded, I think I should be tortured to death. And the judge was like, no, I'm going to sentence you to 8 years of your 8 reoccurring life years. So basically you're in prison until you die, pretty much. But he's been offered hearings, but he just doesn't want to do it. But I guess since you've been in that system since you were 15 years old, I guess that is home to you in a way, I guess, maybe. I don't know. But yeah. So I guess I should have just done this in December, because then I could have just sent you a birthday thingy. Anyways, yeah. So I'm going to email Kemper, or mail Kemper, see if I get a response, and maybe I'll send him a little birthday card or something, because by the time it actually gets to the States, it probably will be December. So, Happy early birthday, Kemper. I hope 71 suits you good. Bye, guys.